Hi everyone, Kelsey here from the Sewing Studio in Maitland, Florida. And in this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to sew on a decorative cotton print plus flange to an otherwise plain kitchen towel. This is a beginner project that all skill levels can make, and it only takes 7 steps. This is a fun project to make for all the seasons. It's great to make and great to give. So let's get started. Step 1 is to cut your fabric pieces. For this project, you're going to need a 5-inch piece of fabric by the width of your towel plus 3 inches. I'll tell you why later. That's going to be the main border print. And then you'll need a flange. And for the flange, we're going to do a 1.5-inch piece of fabric by the width of your towel plus 3 inches, and you'll see why later. Step 2 in this simple project is to take your flange piece and fold it right in half and press. That way you'll have a fold on one side and 2 raw edges on the other. Just like that, easy peasy. Step 3 is going to be to sew the raw edge of the flange onto the raw edge of the 5-inch band using a 1/4-inch seam allowance. So basically what that means is I'm going to take 2 raw edges and butt them right up to each other and take my handy dandy pins, pin them together, and sew. So now my 2 units have become 1, and I'm ready to go to the sewing machine. So we're at the sewing machine, continuing on with step 3. I first wanted to point out that the foot I've attached to my machine is the 1/4-inch foot with the guide. The seam allowance for this project is 1/4 of an inch, and I just love the foot that comes with the guide on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this to my machine with the quick snap. Get my project underneath the presser foot, line up the guide with the edge of my fabric, and I get a perfect 1/4-inch seam every single time. To the end. I'm going to backstitch before and after, cut my threads, and now my 2 pieces are attached, and we're going to go back to the ironing station for step 4. So when you get to your ironing station, your project is going to look like this, and you're over here to press the flange up, so it looks like this, and the seam down, so it looks like this on the back. So let's go ahead and do just that. Take our little iron. I'm using the mini Oliso iron right now and the June Taylor cutting board. And this is a very handy station if you're tight on space like I am here in the studio, but you still want to have an ironing station set up in your sewing studio. So we're going to make sure the flange is pressed up and the seam is pressed down. Looks great. And then we're going to grab our towel, and if your towel has a tag on it, leave it on there so you know which side is the wrong side and which side is the right side. So I have the wrong side facing up right now. And now what I'm going to do is find the only raw edge left of my 5-inch border, and I am going to sew it onto the bottom of my towel on the wrong side. I am going to make sure it is centered, so about 1.5 inches of overhang is left on either side of the towel. Do you see that? It's a little bit bigger than my towel. I've got the raw edges lined up evenly with the bottom edge of my towel, and I am going to sew. So let's first pin, always pin, and then go to the sewing machine and sew. Let's go. Okay, so in finishing step 4, I am back at my sewing machine and I am going to start sewing where my towel is. So you're gonna leave this overhang as just that, an overhang. You're gonna get your project underneath your foot. Sometimes you need to lift it just a little bit higher. And when I'm happy, put my foot down, I get the green button, and green means go. In this demonstration, I'm using the Brother PS500 sewing machine. It's a really nice sewing machine with 100 built-in stitches. The long feed dogs, about 8.3 inches from the needle to the arm. Very nice sewing machine. Use my thread cutter. Lift my presser foot, and I'll meet you back at the ironing station. All right, so we're back at our ironing station for step 5. This is what your project looks like so far. Step 5 is, if there was a tricky part of this, this would be it. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do, which is to lay the towel flat and pinch the ends and pin. Pinch and pin. And the reason that we're having to kind of pinch up like this is because there's a binding on this towel. Most towels come with this thick binding, and we don't want that to turn to the front of our project when we turn our project right side out. So to kind of make up for that, we need to pinch. So we're gonna pinch, pin, and sew the sides. So just to keep things straight, I'm probably gonna put one right in the center, and then I'm gonna show you one more time what I mean by pinch and sew. All right, so I've got 3 pins in there, and here's my project. I've pinched it up just a little bit. And now I'm gonna actually, when I go to my sewing machine, I'm gonna turn the towel right side up, once again, making sure it's nice and flat, and I'm gonna sew at the very edge of the towel. And once we get to the sewing machine and we've sewn it, we're gonna cut off the excess. We left that excess there for a little play, but we're just about to cut it off. So let's head back to the sewing machine and sew. For good measure, we're gonna go ahead and put a couple of pins in on the side of our project as well. All right, lift my presser foot, put it down, and when we say sew on the very edge of the towel, that's exactly what we mean. So get as close as you can to the edge of the towel and sew. I like to put my pins in going perpendicular to my project because I like to pull them out like that. As I sew up to them. You put your pins in however you are most comfortable with. Back stitch, cut. Okay, we sewed pretty close to the edge of the towel, and we're going to do the same thing for the other side of the towel. Presser foot. So right now I'm not using the 1/4 inch guide that's attached to my presser foot, but it doesn't matter. It's not getting in my way right now. I can still sew with it. Oops. Okay, let's go trim off our excess and finish the project. Okay, step 6 is to trim your excess fabric and turn your border right side out. So we're going to take a pair of scissors and cut very closely to your towel on both sides. Okay, Now we're going to turn our project right side out, making sure that our corners are pointed nice and neatly. And we're doing this at our ironing station as well because ironing and pressing is a very important part of sewing. It helps your handmade items look more professional. So our project is right side out. Already it's looking really good, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a press anyway, just to make sure it lays nice and flat. And then we're gonna move on to step 7. This is the final step. All you have to do is top stitch the top of the fabric just below the flange and press. Okay, so it's looking really, really good. I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and I'm going to actually attach it to the kitchen towel right here. Let's go. All right, so whenever I'm doing a top stitch, I like to change the standard stitch length from 2.5 to either 3.5 or 4. I think a longer stitch length looks nice when you're doing a top stitch. So let's head back on over to where my foot is, and I still have the 1/4 inch foot with the guide attached, and I'm gonna tell you why. We're gonna zoom in and I'm gonna show you that I like to line the left side of the 1/4 inch foot up with any part of my project to get a perfect top stitch. So I'm lining this edge of the foot up with the top edge of my white border, and let's sew. And with this particular machine, you can either use the reverse function or you can reinforce in place. So let's continue top stitching. We are almost done with our project. Once again, the guide on the foot's not getting away. It's just riding along with me, not getting in the way at all. And right now, essentially, this step is attaching the border to the towel at the top. It's already attached at the bottom. We're attaching it at the top via this top stitch. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my ironing station and press it one more time. So our project is complete. Our flange and our border are sewn on our otherwise plain kitchen towel. At this point, you can fold it into thirds, fold it up, and look at how beautiful this towel is. This particular cotton collection is called Falling in Love by Riley Blake. We are a fabric store with over 10,000 square feet of fabric, so please do check out our selection in store or online at sewing.net, because this is such a fun project to create for all the seasons or to use any fabric that matches your home decor. I'd also like to say that at this point, if you have an embroidery machine, you can go ahead and put a sweet embroidered motif right here. So I encourage you to get creative. This is a very fun and simple project. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you so much for watching.